1 in 5 suffer.
Erase the stigma.
Brain difference is not a crime.
Mental health isn't just your problem.
It's our problem.
And now, Mental Health Mondays with Marla and Dave.
Welcome to Mental Health Mondays. We are Marla and Dave. And
that is correct.
Specifically am Marla, and today I'm Fly.
Yes, Marla is Fly.
I'm Fly.
Marla, I meant to tell you that the 80s called. Anyway,
well, first of all, this is to honor our guest today is Fly.
Absolutely.
So I just wanted to let him know that even though I'm a grandma, I can, rock a little street cred.
You can rock it, girl. We want to let you know that our very own beloved Mimi will be our guest next week, the following 2 weeks. She has a lot to say, and we have a lot coming up, a lot on the docket that she's going to help us explain and bring to you and kind of let you into the inner circle.
All right. Well, I mean, that's all fine and well, but before we say another word, I have to always start every show by reminding everybody that every conversation about mental health is one worth having and hearing, and you're not alone.
Guys, you want to go by NAMI San Fernando Valley's homepage. That's NAMI-SFV.org or lovingbeyondreason.org. Click on the Mental Health Mondays tab and donate, because to keep bringing you this kind of content, we need your help. Our guest today is TrustyScribe, a San Francisco native. He has called Los Angeles home since 1993. As a multidisciplinary artist, Trusty bridges his background in film, photography, writing, and painting to create work inspired by his own personal challenges in love and depression, bringing much needed attention to the conversation on mental health. His often playful and poignant art can be found in mental health facilities, schools, businesses, private collections from Los Angeles to London, Houston to Paris, and beyond. He's been featured on the Today Show. Excuse me, and when we come back, we'll be talking with TrustyScribe.
Help someone who is struggling by supporting the National Alliance on Mental Illness and be a part of the NAMI effect. Hope starts with you.
All right. So as we said, I was actually throwing these up because this throwing up signs.
Yeah. Throwing up signs. Yeah.
We were gifted with this from Trusty, and I know this is too small for you to read, and it doesn't matter. It's fine. And so I'm going to wear it.
You're the first to get those.
Awesome.
Exclusive.
I love it.
I just got those, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, they're not even out yet.
I'm going to buy a new cap just for that. Anyway, our guest, welcome TrustyScribe.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
All
Man,
right.
this intro is loaded. It leads with a lot of questions to be asked, but I'm gonna start with just giving you the initial floor. As far as
we're going to approach the show a little bit differently today,
this is
and the reason why we're going to approach it differently is because we have a short amount of time, and I'm going to say it already, we're going to have Trusty back. But what we're going to do is, Trusty, we would like for you to just kind of give us a little bit of your background, how you grew up, and then take us through your artwork, because that's the main thing we want to feature, because
tells
it's
the
so
story,
amazing.
for sure.
Well, thank you so much. As you said, I grew up in San Francisco, and actually my stepdad is a well-respected therapist in the Bay Area. And to fast forward, way forward, in 2017, I slipped into a really bad depression. I'd been around the street art scene for a decade and a half at that point.
How does one get into the street art scene?
Well, I was a photographer.
Is that like a tagger kind of thing?
Well, I was a photographer. I mean, I tagged as a kid for a short amount of time, probably a year, tagging buses and signs and stuff. But I started sort of as an urban preservationist, I think, photographing street art because it's fleeting, right? So if you see something you like, I would take a photo of it to hold on to it.
Yeah.
And more, I ended up running into artists and hanging out with artists. And then I had this transition where I started focusing more on documenting the process and shooting artists painting. And so I would spend days or even weeks on a wall, like massive murals, shooting up on lifts and on tops of buildings. And in 2017, I fell into a really bad depression. I was in an abusive relationship. And in the midst of that, I started painting. And the first thing that I came up with, because I've been a writer my whole life too, and so I had been thinking about it for a couple years. If I was going to do this, what would it be? What would it look like? And I figured it would probably be word based. And then I was going to do a character, and then I realized if I just put it in a word bubble and made it big enough, then people could interact with it and sort of be in their own comic book.
Yeah.
Right. And finish the piece of art by standing with it. And Please Excuse My Depression Has a Mind of Its Own was the first one. It was the first one that I came up with, and that sort of solidified what it was that I was going to do. And it sort of sent me down this path. Because before that, it was just sort of like, oh, I could write fun little things and put them out there. But in the midst of that, that's what came of it organically. And it just took off from there.
And so when you say took off, what happened once you did the first Please Excuse My Depression Has a Mind of Its Own piece?
So I told 3 other people that I was thinking about doing this. And there were 3 other street artists. And I was sort of looking for permission. Do you think this is something I should do? And all of them knew what I was going through. And all of them were like, yeah, you should definitely do that.
it.
And so because I was photographing other artists, I needed to come up with a different name so that when I'm out shooting other people, they know that that's what I'm there for. And when I'm out painting, TrustyScribe is
right.
what he's
So it
doing.
kind of separated the two worlds for you.
And most people didn't know I was doing it. And so I went out and I painted it, and I started my Instagram and didn't tell anyone. And just organically, people started finding me. And it was within a couple weeks that I got a message from a kid that just said, hey, man, I came across your art. I tried to kill myself 3 times this year. Your art let me know that I'm not alone in this world, and I want to say thank you.
Wow, man.
And that was the thing that sort of, I've said from that point on, anything I do is icing on the cake.
Oh, for sure.
Right? To do something in your life that convinces another human being to stay on this planet another day longer.
It's a different kind of feedback.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of feedback.
I'll tell you what, the blessing in that is, as much as we give out in this world, what a gift it was that some people leave the planet and don't know how they've touched people.
Yeah.
So to me, that's kind of God's way of saying, this is what you need to be. This is it. Like, in other words, you got that feedback, which was so positive, and that's what it's for.
Yeah, I say that I have the pleasure of being a small pebble in a big pond and causing a little ripple that will hopefully create some change in this world, because something I do might touch someone else, that then they touch someone else, and you just never know sort of how big that ripple will get and how much you'll impact the world.
So now we had Please Excuse My Depression on the screen for a second there. If we can bring that back, I want you to kind of take us through. When you first had it in mind, did you already know that you were going to do this sort of word-based art mixed in with sort of a street
Character.
appeal kind of thing?
Well, that's so funny enough. That's actually City Kitty out of New York on the left there. That character,
Right.
He's a buddy of mine. Out of the East Coast, and we were in London, and I painted that at the South Bank skate park in London.
Wow.
3 or 4 years ago. It's still there. And the interesting thing about that park is it's painted over every single day, multiple times a day. It's one of the only
This is the
legal
place that they don't touch.
It's one of the only legal spots in London that you can paint. So people are painting there all the time.
Right.
Every other artist, they paint around it.
Yeah.
And they've
Wow.
left it.
Wow.
Which, because I think it touches people in a way that they
Absolutely.
think there's something about that I can relate to.
And it speaks to what we're feeling anyway. That's amazing, man. That is awesome. When we come back, we want you to now take us through the rest of your artwork and sort of the stories that surround it, because that's really the main thing, because this is a really, really cool thing that you're doing that's kind of mixing mental health advocacy with just who you are, just pouring out from your heart. Your art is an expression of you.
Your creative nature is to the bone. I mean, I'm listening to you talk about writing, and I'm like, oh, he was born a pure creative on every level.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. We'll be right back with more with TrustyScribe when we return.
When Dave and Marla get together, You may not realize it, but these words, often used to describe someone with a mental health condition, can be very harmful. In a country where 1 in 5 people are affected by a mental health condition, it's time for all of us to step up and change the conversation. Just because someone's struggle isn't obvious on the outside doesn't mean they aren't hurting on the inside. We need to see the person, not the condition. Join with me, pledge to be stigma-free.
Last week we told you that we were going to focus on ways to improve your mental health or your overall psychological well-being, and we gave you 5 tips. Here are some additional activities that can help.
Deep breathing exercises. Relaxation involving deep breathing exercises can lower your heart rate, blood pressure, and breathing rate. This subsequently allows your body and mind to recharge, kind of refuel. Eat breakfast. A lack of nutrition can lead to fogginess in brain function. Psychology Today notes the importance of a daily diet of foods high in omega-3 fatty acids. These and other foods have been shown to reduce symptoms of schizophrenia, depression, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and other mental disorders.
Pet a dog. Therapy dogs have become a common method for improving the state of your emotions. Dogs provide emotional support by providing companionship to individuals. Simply petting a dog every day can improve one's mental health. Yoga. Yoga is a fantastic tool for reducing anxiety and depression. According to the Harvard Health, by reducing perceived stress and anxiety, yoga appears to modulate stress response systems. Although some forms of yoga may be too strenuous, Trusty, for some yoga in general offers great mental and physical wellness benefits.
Remember from last week, keep a mental wellness journal and start tracking your daily improvement.
And don't forget, this Mental Health Minute has been brought to you by Mental Health Mondays in partnership with NAMI San Fernando Valley and Loving Beyond Reason.
Never do anything without thinking about it first.
Marla is a feeler.
I basically wear my personality on my sleeve.
But when Marla and Dave get together,
It's like a match dancing with a firecracker.
Right quick, because we're going to go through some more artwork, and we're going to let Trusty take us on a tour. But I have to read these because they're just amazing.
Yeah.
So Trusty shared with us, hot off the press, these quote patches. And this one says, which is really honestly my favorite, love is the only language I speak fluently. TrustyScribe. And the other says, please excuse my depression. It has a mind of its own. I'm going to put these someplace very special. Stay tuned.
Yeah, I think of those two as sort of like the two sides of me. Mm-hmm. There's that love and compassion, and then there's the mental health aspect. Right. And what's great is it's sort of, both of them still bring you into it. I've had people that came across love language and ended up messaging me about a family member who committed suicide, or a friend that was struggling. So sort of I've discovered sort of through my work, no matter what I put out there, it sort of still funnels into a conversation about mental health, which is amazing. The thing that really came out of the Today Show for me was my piece that says, which is really the most challenging, I think, I don't want to kill myself. I just don't want to be here anymore. Yeah. I got hundreds and hundreds of messages and really made a point of answering everybody. Majority of those messages said some version of, when I saw you say, I don't want to kill myself, I just don't want to be here anymore, it was as though someone put into words for the first time what I've been feeling my entire life, which is so shocking and so sad. Because out of those hundreds and hundreds of messages, I don't know what percentage it, but it was high. It was majority of people tapped into that specific piece.
Yeah, now I saw a thing about a documentary on people who have thought that they wanted to take their lives by jumping off the San Francisco Bridge.
Right. Kevin. Yes.
Go ahead. You about to say something?
His name is Kevin Hines.
And one of the things that they were saying is the minute
second
that they
yeah.
jump off, it's like, oh
Oh
my
my
God,
God, I
what
didn't
have
wanna
I
do this.
done?
Yeah, the
Exactly.
second they let go.
And
it's
that what
they
you
wish they
said,
hadn't.
yeah, explains it perfectly. I didn't really want to be here, but I don't think I really wanted to kill myself.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
It's what you're dealing with in life is too much,
Escape.
and you want to. The way it shows up for me is I just want to pause everything and sort of end up on a fictional tropical beach. So time is paused. I'm taking my break away from everything that just seems too much.
Yeah.
But I don't want to.
Right.
cease
End
to
your
exist.
existence. Right.
Yeah.
And too often, there are times when those of us that are more on the normal spectrum, they look at that and say, oh, this person wanted to commit suicide. They don't really understand
Right.
that the need to escape is greater than anything
Right.
else. And that's just what happens. It's not that they want to kill themselves.
Right, which is why it's great that you're all doing this and that the conversation about mental health is becoming more and more mainstream. So people are starting to understand the difference between wanting to commit suicide and suicidal ideation, which a lot of people have. And a lot of people who have never experienced any sort of mental health issues don't understand that.
Yeah.
And now it's becoming a mainstream
Conversation. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, take us through another piece.
So I think we also have Dream as Though Your Life Depends on It.
Absolutely.
Again, it's that sort of aspirational, compassion-driven, sort of motivating you to sort of pursue whatever's in your heart.
You know, you are. I was gonna say phenomenal, but to be honest, the word that really comes to my mind is you're intuitively prophetic. Everything that you write has a meaning, and I'm not gonna cry, but
You might make me cry.
now, so many times, just with my fight to normalize, that last picture. Tony, can we put that last piece back up? This is I would put this on my wall because this is so. It screams for me because my life has depended on me not letting go of a dream and then a reality that some kind of way, no matter what I'm feeling, that I matter. Mm-hmm. Which when you have all of the pieces on the exterior or people see you a certain way, you almost can't voice that. And so when I see that, I'm like, man, and he and I talk about it all the time. I'm like, man, it's tough sometimes to be able to balance that. So I want to say thank you for that because that's huge. And I just feel like that everything I'm seeing you do and everything that all of your artwork is really prophetic because you're giving voice to so many suppressed realities for people. Yeah. And it's real. And so, but you don't even want to say it because you seem foolish. Like, what do you mean that, you're really Marla, what
right,
more?
So I've gotten that too. What do you mean you're the happy guy at the party or the loud guy at the party, right? Like I'm an extroverted introvert. And what that means is I'm good around people to a certain point. Once that energy is depleted, I need to go away and recharge. Right. And so people don't sort of perceive, and I always say it's usually the happiest person in the room is the saddest.
Right.
Like comedians.
So
same thing.
I did growing up in San Francisco, I would run into Robin Williams all the time. He was
the
it
best.
Broke my heart when that happened. And
crushed.
And I for a long time wanted to do a piece to honor him. And I had a chance. I met David LaChapelle, the photographer, who has a studio in Hollywood, and he sort of gifted me and my buddies out of the UK, the Postman, a wall to do on the outside of his studio, and we did a Robin Williams piece that said, just because I'm smiling doesn't mean I'm happy.
See there, he just did it again.
And he knows when to do it too.
And
We're going to a break. The music is playing.
We didn't even give him the precursor to our breaks, and there he is. TrustyScribe bringing us into another break. We'll be back with more.
TrustyScribe. He knows what's up.
I gotta get there. I gotta get there.
All right, the music tells us, Marla, what time is it?
What
time is it?
It's poll time, and I have, because of Trusty, the energy to just, and plus.
Woo! Oh, look. And not only is she pole dancing, she's crump dancing. Wow. She's going berserk.
That's for Trusty.
Anyway, the question.
I've gotten very tired of the pole dancing without the pole. It's really, really cheap what they do to
I
me
like
here.
that.
The question we asked last week. Now, and Trusty, we need you to kind of listen closely. What
gonna ask
percentage
you.
of youth with depression do not receive any mental health treatment? That's what percentage of youth with depression do not receive any mental health treatment whatsoever. Your options are A, 15%, B, 40%, or C, 60%. What do you think?
I would have guessed that it was higher.
Wow.
So
Well,
I'm gonna go with 60%, but I would have guessed that it's in the 80s or low 90s.
Now I will
Ding,
say
ding,
this
ding,
is
ding,
this is pre-COVID, so you're probably right.
Ding, ding, ding.
And you are
Trusty
correct. 60%.
wins the prize. But before you go,
That's not all.
there's more. Wait.
wait.
How many
There's
Ginsu knives
more.
can he get today?
The new poll question that we will also give our esteemed guest Trusty first crack at: what percentage of people who suffer from depression have a higher risk of developing cardiovascular and metabolic diseases? 20%, 30%, or 40%?
Again, I'm gonna go with the highest percentage.
Okay, well, again, we'll have to wait to see if he's right.
Yes, we can't give this one away, but
Can't let
anywhere
Trusty have it all in one day.
anywhere there's Loving Beyond Reason, NAMI San Fernando Valley, or Mental Health Mondays, social media, our poll questions will be there. We need you to vote because we want to check to see if you know as much as our esteemed guest who's got.
Will
pretty much
Trusty
he's
go
on a
for
good
will,
track record today.
Will TrustyScribe go 2 for 2? Tune in next
We'll
week.
see next week.
Find out.
Back to the show.
All right, we want to get right back into your artwork. And by the way, there's there's a feed here as well, and we're on several sites, and you are getting comments. Wow, that's really good work. Same here. I understand that. So the way what has been something that you've gone through has become something that is really connecting, and I just have to say thank you for that. So we want to get
Now, as what's the next piece we're going to pull up? Because I have a question while Tony's pulling it together.
So I've started incorporating more of my other work because, again, I'm a photographer and filmmaker and writer and painter. I've always had an affinity for the water. And several years back, I started shooting underwater portraits.
Wow.
And wanted to somehow figure out how to bring all of those, the writing, the painting, and the photography together into one sort of coherent art form.
Wow.
And so I took a photo. This is actually an underwater photo in a pool. It's funny, a lot of people first don't realize that it's underwater. Second, they think that that's sand. It's actually
light.
What the light does on the bottom of this particular pool. But the light tends to create those patterns through water. And then I turned this into a 5 foot by 4 foot painting entitled Mindful. And that gentleman is a dear friend, a ballet dancer from San Francisco who now is teaching in Seattle. And he sat for that piece, and then I turned it into the painting.
The mindful painting. If you can pop that up as well, Tony. Now, the question that I had especially with some of the other pieces, how do you decide where to actually just pop that piece up?
Yeah,
because
so that's the big question.
That's the other half of it.
Yeah, people are always like, where do you decide? So, obviously, a lot of times I am painting without permission. And I sort of follow my own set of rules. I think every you ask 100 street artists why they do what they do, you're going to get 100 different answers. You ask them where they paint and why they paint there, you're going to get different answers. I follow sort of a fairly strict set of rules. Abandoned buildings, for lease buildings, stuff like that are usually fair game. There's some materials that I won't necessarily paint on, raw brick. Though in the UK and Europe, a lot of walls are brick and they're just covered and layered with work. So it's sort of fair game at that point. But if I'm commissioned to do something, obviously, I'll paint on whatever.
So we're going to have to commission you no matter what.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that goes without saying. This is amazing.
we need some TrustyScribe.
My mind was like, so I see that in the pool. What about the real ocean?
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Why don't you go down there, you and Trusty, and see what you can come up with?
Yeah, we'll go out to Catalina. Yeah. We'll go shoot out there.
He's
I
a diver.
love Catalina.
Dave's a diver.
Yeah, I'm a diver too.
Oh,
I'm a diver too, but I don't want to dive.
Oh, my Lord.
Well, then you're not a diver.
Exactly.
You're a watcher.
I have a paddy card, so if I could die,
She watches my back just in case.
You snorkel
on the
above
top.
and
I float on the
you
top.
bang on something up top. You see
I
a
lay
shark.
on my little tube.
Right. Yeah, I've always found the water to be really healing, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of sort of similarity in the language we use in the water that we use in mental health stuff. Not being drowned, not being pulled under, trying to keep your head above water, things like that.
Yeah.
And so I find it healing. Just being
Oh,
in
absolutely.
the water.
Oh, first of all the way around the block. We talk about this again, that even if I'm not in it, I want to be near it.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to live on the coastline.
Just hearing it.
But yes, and my favorite place, Kauai, which we just got back from, and we've been going for 26 years, and there's just a peace. I just go sit.
Yeah.
Or I'll get in it, but I'm just, the bottom line is there's a peace with it for
Right.
me. And it also, to me, gives me a feeling of the scope of where I belong, yet so minuscule, but in an infinite. It's just forever, but here I am.
Yeah.
So there's a reason. So, but I see myself so little, especially when I paddle out and I look back at the shore and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
It's me.
Yeah.
And then this vast ocean, and it just brings me I just sit out there and
the
drift.
sound of it is when you were talking about sort of different tools.
Yeah.
I always talk about sort of the different tools that I have to manage my well-being. Sitting by the water and just listening to the ocean lap against the shore. I was years ago painting in Switzerland and paddled out in Lake Zurich and just laid on the board, and just the sound of the water gently tapping at the board was just tranquility.
All the way around the block. Man, I've found a soulmate, Dave.
Yes, you have.
I'm gonna.
Is his name Dave?
No,
Yes.
I'm sharing my. I'm adding TrustyScribe to my soul list.
Well, I want you guys to know that you can actually commission Trusty or see some of the existing artwork at artistxo.com.
Yeah.
Tony, if we can actually put that on the screen as well. And we are not out of time, but I just want to remind you that this is what the community is all about, supporting each other. And because of that, raising all ships when the tide comes in. And that's the main thing, because our main thing is we are warriors against the stigma that is out there and that exists in regards to mental health. And we want it gone completely.
Right.
And the reason why one of the main weapons in our arsenal is really just coming together and sharing stories.
Yeah.
You know what I
It's a
mean?
conversation.
Because we all go through periods where we need a little bit more mental wellness.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If that's the only way that you approach it, that's one way to erase the stigma.
Yeah. I mean, that's sort of the crux of what has happened with my work is when people learn who I am and what I do, they inevitably start talking about what they're going through,
Absolutely.
or what their family members are going through. And what a lot of people don't take into consideration, which sort of breaks my heart over and over again, is the impact that it has on your friends and family. Like I know that this thing that is with me, that will most likely be with me forever, negatively impacts the people around me. But if we can keep talking about it and keep working to lift that stigma, it'll make it easier
Absolutely.
for everybody involved.
Absolutely. And that's the other reason why I really love the love language piece. And that is because, you know what, it's time for us to be in tune with each other. So much technology has taken us away from paying attention. Trusty might need a hug today.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Marla might need a hug today. So it's not so much what we say, just be in tune.
Yeah.
And give each other what we need.
I need a hug every day.
Yeah. I mean, I have the good fortune of having been raised in a family where therapy was a part of it, but I also understand what my role is. I'm not a therapist.
Yeah.
I'm not a social worker.
Yeah.
It just so happens that what I've done has organically opened the door for people to start on their wellness journey.
Wow, amazing. And you are a master of your domain. Our guest is TrustyScribe. We shall return with more.
Bad.
Worthless.
Don't trust them. They'll hurt you. You're worthless.
It's pointless.
When the pain of schizophrenia meets hope, everything can change. Help someone who is struggling by supporting the National Alliance on Mental Illness and be a part of the NAMI effect. Hope starts with you.
It's raw, real, and unfiltered.
All right, we're back.
Like you said, we exactly. So we've been connecting with TrustyScribe, and just what, like Dave said, the community, and one more way that you have presented your voice, love, through your art, through your messages, and through your truth. And so those are the things that you've left with me, and those are the things that remind me that every day is just a step in my uniqueness to continue to be brave enough to be transparent and to share.
Yeah, well, I appreciate what you're all doing. It makes a difference. Every little bit is making a difference.
Well, we thank you, man. So again,
and love, and I guess that's the biggest thing that we've learned even in our own household, that you are not defined by what you're going through, but love is the rule by which that governs us all. And so if love is the first thing, then you're open to understand.
If anything you encounter in your life, if you approach it with love and compassion, no matter what it is.
Exactly.
Well, I was going to say, Trusty, why don't you give us some parting wisdom, but there it is. There it is.
Or
there
if there's anything else.
No, that's it. Love and compassion.
We're going to let you tag. This is you're going to do a tag.
A
verbal tag. There you go.
Yeah. Lead your life with more love and compassion, and the world will be a better place no matter what it is.
Absolutely, man. So,
There
Trusty,
you
we're
go.
going to have you back, man.
Oh, for
It
sure.
would be a pleasure.
Going to have you back. And thank you so much. Again, Artist XO. Tony's going to put that on the screen.
Do you ever
Find me
paint
at
on?
TrustyScribe,
Do you ever paint
Instagram.
on like a person? If I wore like a white shirt, would you just like?
No,
No.
I haven't, but I mean...
Body art.
Trusty notes.
Ooh, see?
Trusty eats.
Indeed.
That you got to go out on that one.
Our guest has been TrustyScribe. He's on Instagram. He's on all the social media sites and platforms. Make sure you stop by artistxo.com. You can purchase some of the work there. You can actually ask him to come and do a personal piece for you. That'll also be amazing. I know we're going to do that as well. Next week, Mimi, our beloved Mimi.
Marlene McCraw, formerly known as.
Yes, my mother-in-law, our mother, is going to be in studio.
She's not our mother. She's my mother.
Thank you again, Trusty.
Thank you.
And we'll have to have
Thank
you
you.
back for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
See you guys next week.